Good evening, everyone. My name is Hugh Liddle, and I'm the sales wizard at Red Cap Sales Coaching, where you can learn to make selling easy, fun, and profitable. There are so many things that you could be doing this evening, hundreds, maybe even thousands of ways that you could be spending your time, and I'm very thankful and very honored that you've chosen to spend the next hour and a half with me talking about selling. I'm going to do my very best to pack just as much value as I possibly can tonight into the time that we have together. I'd like to talk with you about selling for about the next year, but we only have 90 minutes to spend together tonight. So we're just going to touch the snowflake on the tip of the iceberg when it comes to talking about sales. So what I'd like to do tonight is, first of all, talk with you about the mindset that you need to have to be successful in selling, and also about the mindset that your prospective practice members have. Then I'd like to talk with you about sales conversations and the elements that go into a good sales conversation, and then share some specific strategies that will make your sales conversation more effective. And then I'd like to talk just a little bit about how you can retain the practice members that you bring on board and how you can help keep them with you for a very long time. Then what I'd like to do is spend just a little bit of time telling you about a very special offer that you have available to you to take advantage of an online sales training program, a brand new one that's just about ready to come out. And then I want to finish the webinar up tonight by talking with you about the three most important things that you need to know to achieve success in selling. So that's kind of a table of contents of what we'll be working on this evening. I love chiropractic. It's done wonders for me personally. It's done tremendous things for so many people that I know. And you're involved in a profession that I believe is extremely important. Now, you may have been in the chiropractic business for a very, very long time, and you may have been successfully selling your chiropractic services for a very long time. I've been selling for about 44 years, and about 6 years ago, I started a sales coaching practice so that I could teach other people to be really effective at sales and increase their conversion ratios and increase their incomes. So you may be more experienced than I am. You may have been doing this for a very long time. You're probably very good at doing what you do. So I always like to tell this story at the beginning of a webinar. Segovia was probably the finest classical guitarist who ever lived. During his lifetime, there was nobody better than he was. I doubt very seriously that there will ever be anybody as good at playing classical guitar as he was. When Segovia was 80 years old, he was still practicing his guitar 3 hours a day. And somebody asked him, Andres, why do you practice so much? Everyone else in the world is trying really hard to be half as good as you are, so why practice? And Segovia said something very profound. He said, I think I'm beginning to notice a little improvement. And when Segovia was 93 years old, he passed away. And he was still booked at Carnegie Hall. He was still that great at that age. Now, I think the moral of the story probably is pretty plain and clear, and that is that no matter how old we get or how good we get at what we do, we still have room to learn and grow every day. As I mentioned, I've been selling for over 40 years, and I still read everything I can get my hands on that concerns sales, and I watch DVDs, and I go to webinars and workshops, and I really try to improve myself. I try to stay on the cutting edge of what I'm doing. So I'm a voracious follower of all things sales. You need to do the same thing. You need to improve, you need to learn, you need to grow every day, both in your chiropractic profession and in selling your chiropractic services. One of the most important things in selling is the way that we see ourselves. And maybe even more importantly than that, how we perceive that other people think about us. What do we think that other people think? Now, the little girl in this picture has a pretty clear picture of who she is. What she sees in the reflection is what's real. What you see is what you get. Sometimes, though, that's not the case. Sometimes people look in the mirror and what they see looking back at them isn't real at all. I've been told that people who have an eating disorder very often look in the mirror and what they see looking back at them is a hugely overweight person who really needs to lose weight. And we look at them and what we see is someone who's just skin and bones, and we think, my goodness, if they don't get a sandwich in the next 15 minutes, they're just going to starve to death. And so what they see and what we see are two very different things. So when you think about yourself as being a salesperson, not necessarily a chiropractor, but someone who's selling your chiropractic services, how do you think about yourself? What do you see in the mirror of your mind when you think about yourself as being a seller of chiropractic services? Is it this guy, the stereotypical used car salesman, who's pushy and obnoxious and rude and tries to talk you into doing things that you don't want to do and spending money that you don't want to spend? The one that nobody wants to go and spend any time with? Although I will tell you that one of the best selling experiences that I ever encountered when I was on the prospective client end of things was with a car salesman. He was absolutely awesome. I had more fun in that sales conversation than I've probably had with anybody. He was just tremendous. So there are even people in the car profession who are really great salespeople. Or when you look in the mirror of your mind and you think about yourself as a seller of chiropractic services, is this the picture that you see? The guy who talks all the time, he's very loud, you can't get rid of him, and I love the guy back in the corner going, ah! So is that the way that you think about yourself? Or maybe are you afraid that your prospective clients are going to see you as the stereotypical used car salesperson or this loud person who talks all the time that you can't get rid of? Are you afraid that they'll perceive you that way and think less of you and not want to talk with you? Or when you think about selling, do you think about it as being a competition? Somebody has to win, somebody has to lose. And gee, I better win this contest because I need the revenue coming into my practice. I have to talk them into doing what I want them to do. I have to win the battle. Or maybe do you think that when your prospective client comes into your office to talk with you that they're thinking, this is a contest and I have to win, so I'm not going to let this guy sell me anything? These are two of the very best salespeople that I've ever trained. I was the sales manager at a local dairy up in Colorado, and these were two of my salespeople. Look at the faces on those two. Do they look like a couple of people that it would be great to sit down and have a conversation with? They really are. They're personable, they're funny, they're just lovely people. They're good friends of mine. We still stay in touch, and I see them when I go up to Colorado. How do you see yourself when you look in the mirror of your mind? Do you see yourself as a wonderful person, somebody who's attractive and personable and fun, and somebody that anybody would love to sit down and have a conversation with? I hope that's how you see yourself when you think about yourself as being the seller of your services. Very often I run into chiropractors and people in other helping professions who tell me, I don't want to sell anything. I'm not into sales. I'm not a salesperson. I just want to help people, or I just want to serve people. Wanting to help and wanting to serve is a very noble intention, and I wouldn't suggest that you change that at all. Sometimes people say it just a little bit differently. They say, well, I don't want to sell anything. I just want to educate people. I want to teach people to be more healthy, to take care of themselves, to live a healthier, better life. And that's what I'm about. I'm about teaching people. I'm not about selling anything. And again, teaching people and educating them and helping them be healthier is a noble intention. It's a noble goal. And I wouldn't suggest that you change that at all. Here's what I would suggest to you, though. You can be the best chiropractor in the entire world. You can have the best education. You can have the cutting edge techniques and know-how. You can be a great clinician. You can just be the very best at what you do. Your education is the best. Your practice is the best. Your people are the best. And if you don't have practice members, it doesn't do one bit of good. There's a big difference between a sales conversation and what you do with that practice member after they agree to become your practice member. And the education and the serving and the helping has to come after the sale has been completed. That's not what happens during the sales conversation. There are some very specific things that you need to do and that you need to talk about and that you need to ask them about as you're having the sales conversation. And it doesn't have anything to do necessarily with educating them or telling them things that are going to help them become more healthy right at that point. You're really just trying to find out what the challenge is or what their goal is, and to determine whether your services would be a good fit for them, and to have a conversation with them about that. That's what the selling part of it is. I truly believe that you owe it to yourself. You owe it to your family. You owe it to your employees. And you owe it to your prospective practice members and your practice members to be very, very good at selling your services. It's the only way that you're going to be able to help people. It's the only way that you're going to be able to educate the number of people that you could. It's the only way that you're going to earn enough money in your practice to support your lifestyle and support your practice and support your employees. So you owe it to everyone, and especially to yourself, to become very, very good at selling. Very often people are afraid to sell because they just don't know what to say during the sales conversation. It's very important that you know what to say and how to say and when to say it when you're having a sales conversation with someone. Too often salespeople decide that they're just going to wing it. They'll just say whatever comes into their head, and they have a sales conversation that's different every single time. I want to suggest to you that that's not a good idea. You need to know what to say. You need to know how you're going to say it. You need to know when you're going to say it. And the only way to do that is to have a script and to rehearse that script, to role play that script, to work on it until it's natural, until it's a part of you, until you've put your personality into it. And you don't have any hesitation at all about what you're going to say and how you're going to say it. Now remember that you're having a conversation, and a conversation implies that there's more than one person involved in that conversation. There's more than one person talking, and much of the sales conversation involves asking good questions and then listening very, very carefully to the answers. And so you're going to have a conversation. You can still script parts of that conversation. You still need to know what you're going to say, what questions you're going to ask. There was a study that was done back in 1964 at UCLA. I never remember the name of the professor who did the study, and even if I could remember it, it's an Eastern European name, and I probably wouldn't pronounce it correctly. But you can look it up online if you just go to Google and put 1964 study on communications at UCLA and search. It'll pop right up for you. And what that study determined was that when it comes to communicating feelings and emotions, only 7% of the communication that goes on takes place in the words that are said. 38% of the communication takes place in the way that you say what you say, the tonality and the voice inflection that you use. And over 50% of the communication that goes on has to do with body language and facial expression. And so it's not enough just to have the words that you're going to say. You have to be very careful about how you say them, about what words and phrases you emphasize, about what you're doing with your tonality, whether it's rising, whether it's level, or whether it's dropping. And you need to be careful about what you're doing with your body language and with your facial expression. And that means that you need to practice and rehearse. Think about an actor or actress on Broadway, and they're going to be in the same play, if they're lucky, for the next 3 to 5 years, if the show is successful and it stays open. And they're going to do a performance every single day. They're probably going to do 2 on Saturday and 2 on Sunday. And they're going to do the same script in every performance. They're going to say the same words over and over and over and over again. And they've worked on that script. They've worked on the things that they say. They've put their personality into it. They've become that character. And it's totally normal and natural for them to talk that way and to say those words. Now I have a question for you. What would happen if one of the actors or actresses in the play decided that they were bored with the script, didn't want to say that anymore? I've been saying that every year for 2 years. I'm really tired of it. I'm just going to go out and wing it tonight. That performance wouldn't be very good, would it? And the show wouldn't be very good, and it might close down, as a matter of fact, if that continued. And it's the same way with your sales conversation. If you're not confident, if you don't know what you're going to say, if you don't know how to respond to questions, if you don't know how to ask for the sale, if you don't know how to answer an objection, if you don't have the words, if you don't know what emotion you're going to put into the things that you say, you're not going to be very successful on a consistent basis. Oh, you may sell your services every now and again, but you're not going to be consistently successful, and you're not going to have a high conversion ratio. I have a client who, up in Boulder, Colorado, he's a chiropractor. He has a wonderful staff who are just tremendous at selling the annual package that they have. It's over a $4,000 package. And when I first started working with them about 5 years ago, they had a 32% conversion ratio. 32% on the average of the people who were looking at the program were going ahead and enrolling in it. We worked together for the first 8 weeks, the first 2 months. And in that first 2 months, we were able to increase their conversion ratio from 32% to 83%. Over 80% of the people who were looking at that program were saying, yes, I want to be part of that program, sign me up. And all we did was script out their sales conversation. We just worked on the words that they were going to say and how they were going to say them and how they were going to present the services that they had available, the packages that they had available for people. And it had that kind of effect. You can do the same thing in your practice. You can have those kinds of results if you'll just work on a script and work on what you say and how you say it. Your sales conversation needs to include 8 very specific steps, and they need to go in order. In fact, they build one step on top of the next. If you don't have all of those elements in your sales conversation, you're not going to be consistently successful in selling your services. So what I'd like to do right now is show you a brief excerpt from a brand new online sales coaching program called the Elite Sales Academy that's going to be out later this month. This short video is going to show you an overview of the 8 steps in the sales conversation, and then we'll come back and talk about a couple of the steps in greater detail. So let's take a look at the video.
Hey there. Welcome to the Elite Sales Academy. What I'd like to do is take you through the 8 steps in a good sales conversation. We'll be repeating this information at the beginning of each one of the modules that follow, because I want you to become very, very familiar with this material. The reason it's important to do that is because if you at some point lose your place in a sales conversation and you lose your words, if you know what the overview is, if you know how a sales conversation is structured and you're so familiar with that it's like second nature, it's very easy to pick up and start again at the place where you left off. Here are the 8 steps in a good sales conversation. The first step is to build rapport. That means that you give your prospect the opportunity to know you, like you, and trust you so that they can comfortably buy from you. You do that by asking good questions, finding out about your prospect and about their life, and finding common ground. When you've established rapport, the next step in the sales conversation is to establish a verbal agreement. The verbal agreement is the table of contents. It deals with what's going to happen in the rest of the sales conversation, what you're going to talk with them about, what questions you're going to ask them at the end, and what's going to happen if they say yes and if they say no. When you've established the agreement, you can move on to step 3, which is to determine your prospect's needs. You do that simply by asking lots and lots of good open-ended questions that let you know where your prospect is, what they need, and what they want. And then you can go on to the next step and help them find a solution to the challenges that they have or the goals that they'd like to attain. When you've clearly explained what's in it for them to do business with you, you are ready to ask them for the sale. Asking for the sale is the step in the process that most salespeople have a lot of trouble with, and they think it's the hardest step in the process. If you've done the first 4 steps properly, asking for the sale is the easiest part of the sales conversation. It's just like falling off a log. Sometimes your prospect will see an obstacle in the pathway to having what they really want to have. And so your job is to answer that objection. And so the next step is to answer that objection and try to help them find a way past that obstacle so that they can have what they want and what they need. The last 2 steps in the sales process are related, and that's follow-up and customer service. It's doing what you promised you would do and being there for your prospect if any challenges arise to help them solve any problems that might come up or giving them information that they might need in the future. And step 8 is to continue to build relationship and rapport with your prospect or your new client long after the sales conversation is finished.
So those are the 8 steps in the sales conversation. We're going to focus in on 2 of those. Determining what your prospect needs and then offering a solution. It's very, very important that when you ask your prospective clients questions, that you get down underneath the facts and figures and talk with them about the emotions that they feel. To get down with them on the emotional level and really find out what's going on. Too often I think that medical practitioners concentrate on the symptoms, on the facts and figures. Where does it hurt? How long has this been going on? And let's do some testing and find out what's going on with you physically. And the fact of the matter is that you need to find out what's happening with that prospective client on an emotional basis. What do they need? What do they want? So if somebody says, well, I'm having trouble with my back. My back hurts all the time. Really? Well, tell me how that's affecting your life right now. And suddenly it's not just where it hurts and how bad does it hurt and how long has it been hurting. It's how is it affecting your life? And you'll get answers like, well, I love to pick my grandkids up and swing them around and pick them up and cuddle them, and I can't do that because my back hurts so badly. Or I'm a gym rat. I love to go to the gym and keep myself in shape, and I can't do that because my shoulder hurts so much, and I've gained 20 pounds, and I can't get in my skinny jeans anymore, and I'm just feeling yucky. Or I haven't been able to work for the last 3 weeks because I'm hurting so bad. And I'm losing money, and I've got to be able to go back to work pretty soon. You see, all of those are the emotions that are underlying the facts and figures, that are underlying the situation. And somebody will become your practice member because it's to their benefit emotionally, because they feel that's the thing that they want to do and need to do more than anything. You see, sales decisions are made on an emotional basis. They're not made with the head, they're made with the heart. And I'll give you a couple of examples just from everyday life. One of those is when you go out to buy a car, there's all kinds of reasons that you can give, logical reasons why you should go out and get a new car. Oh, well, this car will get much better gas mileage than my old car does, and so I'll save money. So that's why I'm going to buy the car. Or, I looked at Consumer Reports and I compared a whole bunch of different cars, and this car has the best safety rating and it keeps its value the best of all of the cars that I looked at. And so that's why I'm buying a new car. So I have something that holds its value and it's safe. But that's not why we buy cars. We buy cars because the old one that we have doesn't look like it did when it was new. And a lot of times it doesn't smell like it did when it was new. And we want something different. We're bored with it. We want to get something new. We want that new car smell. We want that new car look. We want to have the feeling that we get when we're driving around in a new car, that pride, that sense of ownership. And we want all our friends and our family to look at us and say, wow, what a nice car. Wow, he must be doing really well. And so that's why we buy a new car. It's emotion. 99 times out of 100, that old car would still get us around just fine. It'll get us from one place to the other for years to come if we decide to hang on to it. But we don't do that. We go and buy something new. And boy, do we ever pay handsomely to do that. I can be just a little bit politically incorrect because I'm old. And so I'm going to tell you ladies that when you go out to buy a dress or a coat or a purse, there's all kinds of ways that you can justify that purchase from a logical standpoint. You can say, well, the clothes that I have from last year are really kind of out of date, and I just have to keep up appearances, and so I have to have something new. Or wow, this dress or this pair of shoes is they're so well made and they're such high quality. I won't have to buy another dress or another pair of shoes. I can use this for years and years, and it won't go out of style, and it won't wear out. And so, I need to buy this. You can justify it logically, but that's not why you go out and buy a dress or a pair of shoes or a coat or a purse. You buy those things because you think they look cute on you. You think that you look good when you're wearing that or carrying that. And you want to feel attractive and you want to look good and you want other people to notice. And those are all the emotional reasons that you really buy the dress or the coat or the purse for. And we all know that. If we're really honest about it, we know that that's absolutely true. Well, it's not any different for somebody buying your chiropractic services. They're going to make the decision to trust you to be their chiropractor for emotional reasons. It's not going to have anything to do with their head, with their logic. They may justify having you be their chiropractor with their head, but they're going to buy with their heart. And so you have to get down to the emotional level. I heard it described this way, and I just think this is such a wonderful illustration. It's like your prospective practice member is on an island, and it's not a very nice island. There's another piece of land that blocks the sea breeze, and there's not very much vegetation on this island. And so it's hot, and it's steamy, and it's uncomfortable. And there are bugs on this island, and sometimes alligators climb up on the shore and try to bite your leg off. It is not a pleasant place, and your prospective practice member hates it there. They don't want to be there anymore. And they would do anything. They would do anything that they could possibly do. They'd pay any price to be off of that island, to be someplace different. And they know just exactly where it is that they want to be. They can see it from where they are. And there's another island, and this other island is an absolutely marvelous place. It gets the sea breeze, and the temperature is cool and comfortable year-round. There are beautiful trees on this island with hammocks strung between them where you can just relax and read a book or take a nap or just look out and see the beautiful ocean. There are fruit trees there that you can help yourself, or there's a concierge that has all kinds of hors d'oeuvres and entrees that are just wonderful and marvelous, and wonderful drinks. And there's no bugs, and there's no alligators. It's just a great place to be. And your prospective practice member wants to be on that island. They want to be there so bad they would do anything, and they would pay any price if they could just be on that island. And the challenge is that they don't know how to get off the island that they're on right now and onto the island where they really want to be. They don't know how to make that transition from hurting all the time to not hurting anymore. They don't know how to make that transition from having a low energy level to feeling energetic and ready to go and just feeling great every moment of the day. They don't know how to do that. If they're an athlete, they don't know how to go from being mediocre to performing at their peak all the time. They don't know how to go from being 20 or 30 pounds overweight to being able to get into their skinny jeans again because they can go back to the gym because their shoulder doesn't hurt anymore. They don't know how to do that. They don't know how they're going to be able to pick their grandkids up and swing them around again. They don't know how they're going to get from where they are to where they really want to be. And the challenge is really they don't know how to swim. And there's some pretty rough ocean out there in between the islands. And even if they could swim, there's some sharks out there in the water that might gobble them up if they jump in and try to swim. So they might get eaten up or they might drown. And you, as a chiropractic professional, have the boat. You have the boat that can get them safely from one island to the other. You can take them from where they are right now to where they want to be. You have the service available to do that. You have the know-how. You have the techniques. You have the equipment. You have everything that's needed to guide them and help them and educate them and get them off that horrible island and onto the island that's just great. The way that you find out where your prospect is and where they'd like to be is that you have to ask lots of high-yielding questions. And what I mean by high-yielding questions, those are questions that produce answers that give you the information that you need to know what your prospective practice member thinks, how they feel, what their situation is, what their challenges are, what their goals are, what they really want to do and feel like they have to do. And so the way that you get those answers is you ask open-ended questions. Open-ended questions are questions that can't be answered yes or no. This is journalism 101. Whenever you do an interview, you ask who, what, where, when, why, and how. And since those questions can't be answered yes or no, your prospective practice member has to talk to you. They have to give you information. They have to give you answers to those questions. You can take any closed-end question, and almost all the time, just by putting who, what, where, when, why, or how on the front of that closed-end question, you make it into an open-ended question. So instead of asking a question like, have you been feeling this way for a long time, which is a question they can answer yes or no, you simply say, how long have you been feeling this way? And that's an open-ended question, and they have to give you information. They have to answer that question. If you don't get the question answered as fully and completely as you need to have it answered, you can always say, tell me more about that. Or you can ask, what's important to you about that? Somebody says, man, I have just got to get my back feeling better. What's the most important thing about having your back feel better? What's that going to do for you? How's that going to affect your life if you can take care of that pain and diminish it or eliminate it? Now, once you've asked lots of good open-ended questions and you know where your prospect is right now and where they'd like to be, the next step in the process is to help them find a solution. And again, we're going to do this by talking to them about emotion. And so we're not going to just say things like, well, we're going to do some testing and then we're going to have you come in for 3 weeks, 3 times a week, and we're going to do adjustments and we're going to do some therapy and we're going to have some massage done and then we're going to do some more testing and find out how far you've come along and we'll just keep tweaking until we get you better. It's not just that. So if your prospective client tells you that they really want to be able to pick their grandkids up and swing them around and give them hugs, and they're not able to do that right now, and you know that you have the solution, you're going to tell them a lot of our practice members have been just exactly in the place where you are. And they've been able to eliminate or at least greatly reduce the pain that they've felt and get back to their normal lives. And you can do that too. Well, you can be back picking those grandkids up and loving on them and playing with them and just having a great time. And the care plan that you have available to you will get you there just as quickly as possible. Almost every potential practice member that comes in to see you is going to have a puzzle piece missing from their health picture. Now, they may know exactly what that is. They may know exactly what's going on and how it's affecting their life and what the situation is. And sometimes the questions that you ask them will help them pinpoint what the missing piece is. Maybe some things they haven't even really been aware of or thought about or considered in the past will become crystal clear to them as you're asking them questions. And if you have the solution to the challenge that they're facing, or if you have the solution to helping them get the goal that they can achieve, then your job becomes to clearly communicate to them what the solution is and how that can help them and how it's going to change their life in some measurable, specific way. What many of your competitors are doing out there is what I call the wee-wee syndrome. And there's a technical term for it in sales coaching. It's called show up and throw up. And it goes like this. Oh, we've been in practice for 35 years, and we just have the cutting edge techniques. We have the very best techniques. We have the best education. And we just do a great job for our clients. And we help them really feel better very, very quickly. And we have great customer service, and we treat you like family. And boy, do we ever have a great deal for you today. And it's all about we all the way home. Now, I'm going to tell you something, and you probably won't like this very well. Your prospective practice members just don't care about any of that. They don't care how long you've been in practice. They don't care what you know. They don't care how much education you have. They don't care what your customer service is like. They don't care how many other practice members you've helped. They don't care what kind of a deal you have for them. They don't care about any of that until you answer this one question for them. Because there's really only one question that they have in their mind. What's in it for me? What can you do for me? How can you help me make my life better, more joyful, more peaceful, more pain-free, more energetic, more profitable, more productive? What's in it for me? What are you going to do for me? That's the question that they have in their mind. And so that's the question that you have to answer when you present your value statements, when you talk with them about what they can do. And when you answer that question, what's in it for me, you need to be using you statements. You can have, you can get, you can do, you can enjoy, you can learn, you can be, because that's what they want to know. That's the answer to the question, what's in it for me? You can have, you can get, you can do, you can enjoy, you can learn, you can be, you can whatever. It's a difficult transition to make from going from the wee-wee syndrome to the you can have, because we've become habituated. We've been talking with people about what we do and what's available by saying we and us and our and my and I for years and years and years. And not only have we been doing it, but we've had that coming at us. If you go to a networking group of some kind and you listen to elevator speeches, what you will hear in 99.9% of elevator speeches is we help people do this and we do that and we've been in business and we have these products and services and we. They don't talk to their audience about what the audience can have if they work with them or if they buy their product or service. They don't talk about what that person has available to them. Go on a social media site, go on a LinkedIn page and read the summary. And the summary is all about, I was educated here and I have this much education and I've been in business for this long and I help people do this and I help people do that and I believe and I feel. And it's not about the person who's reading that summary at all. It's all about the person who wrote it. And it doesn't answer the question, what's in it for me? It doesn't give people the urge to do business with you if that's how your LinkedIn page is written. If you dare, listen to advertising on radio and television. I DVR everything at my house so I can blow through those ads, but occasionally I listen to them just to see what's going on. And what I hear most of the time is I and my and we and our and us. I don't hear very much you can in those advertisements. I don't see them on billboards. I don't see them in written ads in the newspapers or magazines. I don't see them in the emails that I receive. So we have all of this data, all of this advertising, all of this marketing coming at us 24 hours a day, or at least for the part of the 24 hours that we're up and aware. We've got all of this stuff coming at us, and we've become habituated to the wee syndrome. It takes work, it takes effort, it takes concentration, it takes practice to move to the place where you're saying you can to your prospective clients and that you're doing that on a consistent basis. And it will totally change your sales conversations. It will dramatically increase your conversion ratio. It will result in more sales and it will result in more money coming into your practice if you just make that one change in what you're doing. If you present your value statements as you can have, or you can get, or you can do. The solutions that you offer, your value statements, must sell back only to the needs that you've uncovered with the high-yielding questions that you've asked. Now, there are a lot of different things that you can do, a lot of services that you can provide for your prospective practice members. But if they've told you that, if somebody tells you that the only thing that they really want, the only reason they really want chiropractic is because they want the edge in the next 5K or marathon or Ironman that they run, and they're looking for peak performance, and that's what they want, then when you talk with them about what they can have from you, talk to them about the things that you can do that will ensure that they perform at peak performance. Don't talk with them about getting rid of chronic pain, or don't talk with them about energy level, or don't talk with them about living longer if what they want is peak performance. Talk to them about what they're interested in and what they connected with emotionally as you were asking questions. In a typical sales conversation, you'll find one or two areas where your prospective practice member is really emotionally invested, and they really want something, or they really need something in a particular area. Talk to them about that. Talk to them about what's in it for them in that area, and not about anything else. You see, as health professionals, you tend to, and as a coach, I tend to want to educate. I want to tell them everything. So if the temptation is to throw in the kitchen sink, tell them everything about what you do and what you know and how you do it and how you're going to do everything. And that's not what your prospective practice member needs to hear. They want to hear what they can have in the specific area that they care about. Now, the objection that I usually get when I talk about this is what if I leave out something that is important to them? What if I don't tell them about something that they can have and they really are interested in that, or they really do care about it, or they really are emotional about it? And my answer to that is that if that is the case, if you neglect to talk to them about something that they want to know about, they will ask you a question. They'll ask you about it. Now, when you get a question, you need to answer that question just as briefly and succinctly as you possibly can to give them the information that they really need to know and want to know. And I'm going to illustrate this with a little story about little Johnny. Little Johnny was out playing one day, and he came running into the house, and he ran up to his dad. His dad was sitting in the lazy boy reading the paper, drinking a cup of coffee, just kind of relaxing on the weekend. And Johnny ran up and said, Dad, I need to ask you a question. And Dad said, well, yeah, Johnny, what's your question? Johnny says, Dad, where did I come from? And his dad looks at him and thinks, holy smokes, kid, you're only 4 years old, and you're already asking me where you came from? And he thinks, well, kids get more sophisticated younger nowadays, and so if he wants to know, I guess I better tell him. And Johnny's dad spends the next hour and 15 minutes telling Johnny all about the birds and the bees and where everything is and what it's for and what it does. And he gets all finished and he says, now, Johnny, do you understand what Dad just explained to you? And Johnny says, yeah, Dad, I think I do. And his dad says, well, Johnny, I'm curious. Why did you want to know where you came from? Why did you ask me that? And Johnny said, well, I was out playing with Tommy, and he said he came from Chicago, and I just wondered where I came from. You see, too often we give people way too much information. We talk to them about things that they don't want or need that information, they don't care about that information, and they're really a little bit bored, or maybe you even confuse them. And they end up not buying because you've talked to them too much. Now, the question that you need to ask your prospective practice member if they ask you a question is the same one that Johnny's dad should have asked at the very beginning before he told Johnny anything. And that question is, what do you want to know exactly? Or, well, why would you like to know about where you came from? Or what's the most important to you about where you came from? Why are you asking Dad about that? What do you really want to know? And he could have gotten the information that Johnny just wanted to know which city he was born in. He could have given him that and sent him on his way. Everything would have been just fine. And so when your prospective practice member asks you a question, maybe they say something about, I would really like to know about safety in chiropractic. Wow, that's a really important question. What's the most important thing to you about safety in chiropractic? What made you ask me that question? Oh, well, I just was talking to somebody the other day, and they said their chiropractor jerks them around and kind of hurt them a couple of times, and I just wanted to make sure that you don't work that way. And so now you know exactly what they want to know. You know what the concern is. And so ask the question up front. What's the most important to you about that? Or that's a great question. What made you ask me that? Or that's an interesting question. Exactly what do you want to know about whatever the subject of the question was? I want to talk with you just a little bit about retention for your practice members. Because you not only want practice members to come in and stay with you over the long term, rather than just coming in and having one or two adjustments and then going on their way and you never see them again, or you don't see them again for a year or two until they hurt so bad that they feel like they need to come see you again. You want them with you on a regular basis, because one of the things that's the most important to you as a practitioner, I know, is preventive maintenance. You want to make sure that you get their body in alignment and then keep it there so they don't have to experience the pain that they've had in the past, so that they continue to enjoy good health and they feel good all the time. And so that's what you're really looking for. So the first thing that you can do is offer packages and offer 3 packages or so to your prospective practice members. Package number 1 is the least money out of pocket. It may be a certain number of adjustments. It may be working with them over a certain number of months. It may include various tests or massages, but it's the basic package. Package number 2 is more money out of pocket to start with, and there's a savings that's involved in it. And this package includes more. This package not only, it includes, instead of 10 adjustments, it includes 20. Instead of 2 massages, you get 4. And so your investment is more. And if we were to do this entire package, it includes everything that's in package 1, but if we were to do this package and do all of the services for you individually, you'd need to invest this much, and but you only have to invest in package number 2 this much money, and you save $200 by doing that. Number 3 is the Cadillac package. It's a 1-year program. It includes everything, and you get this and this and this. If we were to, it includes everything in package 1 and package 2, plus there's all of this other stuff that you get too. And if we were to price everything out separately, you would need to invest X number of dollars. But right now, you can just invest this much money in package number 3, and you save $500, $600, whatever it is. And then you give them their choice. You say, now my recommendation would be package number 2 because it fits your budget, and because it has this, this, and this that you need, and because you get the preventive maintenance that will get you adjusted and keep you adjusted, and get your nervous system where it needs to be, and so that you can be really healthy. And so that would be my recommendation. Having said that, though, I realize that it's your health, it's your program, and it's your budget. So tell me this, which one of those packages do you feel would be the best fit for you? Now, there's several things about asking for the sale that way. First of all of the packages that you offer are going to bring in money into your practice up front. And they are going to be in a program where they continue with you over a longer period of time. It's not just 1 or 2 adjustments and then they're gone. They come in and work with you over a period of time. And then when they get out to the end of that first package, you talk with them about purchasing another package and continuing to stay with you and continuing to stay in adjustment and continuing to stay healthy. Now, the other thing that it does is that it makes it their decision. It's not that you forced them into anything or even sold them anything. You simply asked them which one of the programs that you have available was the best fit, and they told you which one they wanted to do. The one that was the best fit for them financially, the one that they felt was the best fit for them program-wise. And because they made the choice, they are very much less likely to stop taking advantage of your services and to go off to a competitor, because it wasn't something that you got them to do. It's something that they decided to do. It was their choice. They took ownership of it. They took possession of the decision. Now, there's another group of 3s that will keep people in your practice more than anything, and that's customer service, and wow, customer service. Whenever somebody comes into your practice, and it doesn't make any difference if they're a prospective practice member coming in to have an examination and to talk with you about the programs that they have available, or whether it's somebody that's been a practice member with you for the last 15 or 20 years, every time they walk into the door of your practice, they need to have a treetop experience. And that means that everybody in your office, from your receptionist to your business manager, to your associate chiropractors, to your chiropractic assistants, to you, everybody in your practice needs to be into customer service. And you need to be totally focused on making that practice member or that prospective practice member feel like family. They need to feel like $1,000,000 while they're in your office. And when they walk out of your office, they need to go tell everybody they come into contact with for the next 2 or 3 weeks, wow, I just went in to see Dr. So-and-so, and man, what an experience. Those people are so cool. It's such a wonderful place to go. They did this and they said that, and it was just terrific. Every member of your staff needs to know how to sell, and they need to know how to provide great customer service. I don't know how to tell you how many people have gone into chiropractic practices or any kind of health practice, and they like the doctor, they like the chiropractor, but they hate the receptionist. The receptionist is cold, the receptionist doesn't treat them well, the receptionist doesn't talk with them. The first thing when that person walks into your door, the first thing they need to hear is their name. Oh, John! Oh, I'm so glad you're back in today. It is just great to see you. How's everything going? How's your Monday? How are you feeling? Your practice members need to know that everybody on your staff cares about them. Every member of your staff needs to be connected with them. And you need to make your practice top of mind. Now, top of mind is just, if you're playing word association and somebody says hamburgers, the answer is almost always McDonald's. People just associate that McDonald's is top of mind in the world when it comes to hamburgers. And it's not really even that they have the best hamburgers in the world. They don't. But they've got the name recognition and they've got that top of mind relationship with people. Hamburgers, McDonald's. Ketchup, Heinz. Baby food, Gerber's. Now, your practice probably is not going to be top of mind worldwide. It's probably not going to be even top of mind countrywide or citywide. But in your circle of influence, you want your practice to be top of mind. When somebody says chiropractic or chiropractor, you immediately want them to think of your name or the name of your practice. And that's all. So that when they're talking with somebody out there and somebody says, oh, my back is hurting, I probably need to find a chiropractor, they immediately say, oh, you know who you need to talk to is, and they give your name or the name of your practice and they refer that person to you. And those are the things that are going to keep your practice full. You get your practice full by having great sales conversations with people. You keep your practice full by connecting, caring, and staying top of mind, and having every member of your staff tuned in to providing that kind of service for your practice members. I want to real quickly tell you the story of 3 realtors. Not chiropractors, they're realtors, but the story illustrates exactly what we're talking about. The first realtor is the realtor who sold my parents the last house that they ever purchased. They were in their late 70s, and they bought a house in Longmont, Colorado. The realtor who sold them their house was a very, very shrewd, wonderful salesperson and businessman. He knew my parents had just bought their last house. They were not going to purchase another piece of property from him. But he called my mom and talked to my mom once every 90 days, like clockwork. He talked to my mom because Dad didn't like to answer the phone, so Mom always answered it. And he would say, Mrs. Liddle, this is so-and-so from such and such a real estate company. She'd say, oh, hi. And he'd say, I'm just calling to see how things are going with you. Are you using that beautiful stone fireplace in your family room? That's my favorite fireplace in all of Colorado. I just love that fireplace. Are you making some good fires in the evenings now? And how are your appliances holding up? Are you having any challenges with any? Is everything in the house working the way it should? And since he knew that they were in their older years, is there anything heavy that you need moved, that you need help moving? Because I'd be happy to help you do that. Or is there anything that you need hauled off? Because I'd be glad to do that for you. And he knew my mom was always going to tell him the same thing. Oh, no, we're doing just fine. My husband's a handyman. Everything's just great. But boy, it sure is nice to talk to you, and I sure am glad you called. Now, he knew they weren't going to buy another piece of property from him. So why would he, air quotes, waste his time calling my mother and talking with her once every 90 days? Well, the answer is that if you ever made the mistake of saying anything about buying or selling a piece of property around my mother, it was, oh, you need to talk to my realtor. He is just great. He is so wonderful, and he does this and he does that, and he calls me all the time to see if he can do anything for me, and he is just the best. Where my mother was concerned, there wasn't another realtor in the universe. This guy hung the moon. And she had a stack of his business cards, and I have no idea how many people she referred to this guy. It was a bunch. It was the best advertising that he possibly could have gotten for his real estate practice. And all he had to invest to do that was a 5-minute telephone conversation once every 90 days. Folks, that's how you want people thinking about and talking about your chiropractic practice. Now, realtor number 2, my mom tried to get me to use her realtor when we bought her house from her when she had to go into an assisted living place. And I didn't use her realtor because of realtor number 2. Realtor number 2 was my friend Marty. Marty and I grew up across the street from each other in Boulder, Colorado, and we rode the bus to junior high and high school together every day. We played football out in the street on the weekends. We were good friends. Marty went into the real estate business, and he started sending me cards on special occasions. And every year I get a calendar from Marty that has the schedules of all of the Colorado sports teams. And when Marty sold our house, and he also made a telephone call to Florida to smooth out a couple of challenges and made sure that we could go ahead with the purchase down here in Florida. And about a week after we moved, we got a thank you card from Marty telling us how much he appreciated our business. And about a week after that, a package came in the mail. And in that package was a beautiful coffee table book about Colorado and a note that said, just wanted you to remember where you came from. Beautiful, beautiful gift. I live in Florida now, have for the past 3 years, and I've had several clients who actually were moving from other places to Colorado. Guess who I referred them to buy their house? I referred them to my friend Marty. And I referred them to my friend Marty because Marty stays in touch, because Marty does nice things, because Marty provides great customer service even though he knows I'm not going to buy or sell another piece of property there in Colorado, more than likely. I might, but probably not. So that's realtor number 2. The third realtor I want to tell you about is the realtor who sold us the house in Florida. About a week after the sale, we received a thank you card from her, which was very nice. That's been 3 years ago. Guess how many times we've heard from her in the past 3 years? You guessed it. We've never heard from her. Not a peep, not a word, not a card, not an email, not a call, not a drop by to see how we're doing. Nothing at all. She has assumed that we're not going to buy from her again, that transaction is over, that the sale's been done. She's got her commission, and so there's no reason for her to stay in touch with us. And you know what? Even if I wanted to refer somebody to her to buy or sell a piece of property, which I really don't want to refer anybody to her, I wouldn't be able to do it because I can't remember her name. I'd have to go back to a file box from 3 years ago and dig through till I found the real estate transaction and find her card in order to even remember what her name was. That's the realtor that you don't want to pattern your chiropractic practice after. Stay top of mind. Stay top of mind with your practice members. Stay top of mind with your prospective practice members who tell you no. Because no doesn't necessarily mean never, and those people know a lot of people that they could refer to you. Stay top of mind. Provide great customer service. I want to talk to you for just a second about the new online sales training program that's coming out this month. And then I want to come back and share with you very quickly the 3 most important things that you need to know if you want to be successful in selling your chiropractic services consistently. Folks, you can be a sales wizard too. I'm a sales wizard because I've been doing it for 40 years and I've made all kinds of mistakes and I had to learn as I went along and I corrected things and I added things and I learned things. And it took me a long time to get good at sales. And I finally reached the pinnacle of getting good at sales. I'm really good at it. Now I'm teaching other people to do it. Well, you can become a sales wizard too, and it doesn't have to take you 40 years to do that. You can find out how to do it correctly right away. You can avoid all of the mistakes that I made when I was learning how to sell. And the way that you can do that is the Elite Sales Academy. The Elite Sales Academy gives you 24 modules of instruction. You saw just a brief example of what the Sales Academy is like in the little video that you watched earlier. 24 modules, over 8 hours of material from over 40 years of sales experience, and you get that so that you can study and learn at your own pace in the privacy of your comfort and comfort of your home or office. You can study and learn at your own pace in the privacy and comfort of your own office. And you can use this material as a training program for your staff. The chiropractor up in Colorado that I mentioned to you, who had the huge increase in his conversion ratio, we made videos of the various trainings that I've done for him and his staff through the years. And recently he had a complete turnover in his staff. They all left to go do other things. And they left all at once. And he had to replace his entire staff, and he had to do it right before he took his family on vacation to Italy for a week. So he told the brand new staff, the people that he had just hired, he said, I'm going to be gone for a week. The office is going to be closed. I want you to sit down and watch these trainings on video so that you'll be ready to hit the ground running when I get back. When he got back from Italy and reopened the office, his staff did hit the ground running. And their conversion ratio was off the charts right from the get-go. And none of them had sold chiropractic services before that. That's the kind of material, that's the kind of training, that's the kind of information that you're going to get in the Elite Sales Academy so that your conversion ratio can increase dramatically so that you can make more sales and generate more income in your practice. Now, the Elite Sales Academy, when it comes out this month, it's going to retail at $1,497, and that is a tremendous bargain. To get all of the information, all of the training that's in this program, if you did it one-to-one with a Red Cap sales coach, it would cost you $5,000 or $6,000 to do that. The investment for the Elite Sales Academy, when it comes out, when it premieres, is only $1,497. It's a huge savings already. And because you've been kind enough to come on this webinar and spend your time listening to this webinar about selling, you get something even more special because you don't have to invest even $1,497 to have this program available to you. You only need to invest $997. You save $500 right off the top just because you've been a participant on this webinar or you've watched the recording of this webinar. There are also 5 bonuses that are going to be available to you when you become a member of the Elite Sales Academy. And the first thing you get is an autographed copy of the new edition of my book, Take the Icky and Scary Out of Sales. And this book is a manual on selling. It will assist you along with the video training program in preparing your scripting and knowing just exactly what to say, how to say it, when you're selling. To enroll in the Elite Sales Academy, all you have to do is go to redcapsalescoaching.com, and right up at the top of the page, there's a tab that says Elite Sales Academy. You just click that tab, there's a description of the course, and there's a button that you can click. You can go ahead and make your investment, and as soon as the Elite Sales Academy comes online, you will get all of your modules, and you'll get all of the other things that are in the membership site. Bonus number 2 is the membership site. And in addition to the videos that you're going to receive, the training course, you're going to get other videos and white papers and blogs that keep you on the cutting edge of selling, that give you new information, new tips, new strategies, new things that you can do to continually get better at selling your services. Within that membership site, you're going to receive a weekly 20-minute online group call with me or one of my Red Cap sales coaches. We'll answer questions that we receive about various aspects of sales. We'll talk about how to solve the problems that you're running up against or the challenges that you're having in selling your services and your products. Bonus number 4 is a complimentary 45-minute conversation with me, the sales wizard. And in that 45-minute conversation, we'll talk specifically about your practice and your sales. We'll talk about the specific challenges that you and your staff are having in selling your services. You'll get tips, you'll get strategies, you'll get ideas that you can take back to your office that day and implement to increase your sales and increase your income. And bonus number 5 is a private Facebook group that you'll become a member of. And in that Facebook group, you can ask questions. You can post answers that to questions that other people have, or you can post informational items. And maybe the most important thing is that you're going to develop relationships with other people in the group. Some of them, if they're in your local area, will become your clients. Some will become your power partners. Some will become your referral base for you, people who refer practice members to you. And you'll get to know those people, you'll get to become friends with them, you'll get to develop relationships with them, and you will greatly increase your base of resources by being a member of the Elite Sales Academy. So you get the program, the online training program, and all of the bonuses, the book, the membership site. You get the 20-minute calls every week. You get the 45-minute free consult with me, and you get the membership in the private Facebook group. And you get all of that, and the only investment that you have to make is $9.97. You save $500 just on the training portion of it. This is the online sales training, and you save thousands and thousands of dollars on the entire package. Remember that all you have to do to enroll is go to redcapsalescoaching.com, click on the Elite Sales Academy tab, and go ahead and make your investment, and you'll be all set to go when the Elite Sales Academy comes out in just a few short days. I want to end this webinar by giving you the 3 secrets, the 3 most important things that you need to know if you want to be successful at selling your chiropractic services long term. First of all, you have to be focused on your prospective practice member when you're having that sales conversation. If you're focused on the amount of money that it's going to bring into your practice if this person says yes, you're focused on the wrong thing. If you're focused on the disagreement that you had with your significant other before you walked out the door this morning, you're focused on the wrong thing. If you're thinking about your kids and the challenges you're having with them or the stack of bills that you need to pay, if you're focused on what you're going to do when you leave this afternoon and what you're going to go do that's fun, if you're focused on anything other than what your potential practice member needs and wants, if you're focused on anything besides their needs, your focus is in the wrong place, and they will feel that, and they will not become your practice member. They will know if your focus is someplace else. They'll know if you're thinking about something else. They will feel that. You've had that experience when somebody's tried to sell you something. It may be something that you want. The price is pretty good. The salesperson did a pretty good job of explaining it, and it gets down to the point where they ask you to make a decision, and you get this feeling in your gut that there's just something that's not quite right. You can't put your finger on it. You don't know exactly what it is. You just know that there's something that's not quite right. And you say something like, Well, I want to think about it for a few days and I'll call you if I decide to do it. Or, oh, I really have to talk to my wife or my Uncle Charlie or whoever first and I'll call you. Or I'm going to get some other bids and if you win, then I'll call you. And what's really going on is that that person wasn't focused on your needs. They weren't focused on helping and serving you. They were thinking about something else, probably about the amount of commission that they could earn if you say yes. You need to be crystal clear if you want to be great at sales on what your job is. When you are having a sales conversation, it is not your job to educate your practice member or your potential practice member. It is not your job to get your potential practice member to do what you want them to do. It's not your job to decide whether they can afford your services or whether they can't. That's their job. It's their job to decide whether they want your services and how much they're willing to invest to have your services and how much they can invest to have your services. Your job is to find out what they need, determine whether your product or service can fill that need, clearly communicate to them what's in it for them if they do business with you, and then they take over. Then it becomes their decision. It becomes their job. Now, you may need to answer an objection and help them past an obstacle that they see, but it's not your job. Don't ever prejudge whether somebody can afford you or not based on how they look or how they talk or where they live or where they came from or what their background is or any of those things. You've got some millionaires living right next door to you and you don't even know they're millionaires because their lifestyle doesn't really reflect it. If they got plenty of money. So don't prejudge. That's not your job. Your job is to help your prospective practice member do what they want to do. It's not to get them to do what you want them to do. A world of difference there. And finally, don't do sales presentations. Have sales conversations. Don't spend all of your time talking to your prospective practice member about what you do, about yourself, about your practice, about your products or services. Don't spend your time talking to them about that. Have a conversation. Ask them questions. Listen. And then talk to them only about what they're interested in. And if you will do those things, folks, you'll dramatically increase your conversion ratio. You'll sell so much more. You'll have so many more practice members. You'll keep your practice members for way longer, and you'll bring so much money into your practice you won't even believe it. I want to thank you so much for being on the webinar tonight. I want to just remind you one more time to take advantage of the Elite Sales Academy. Only $9.97 for that 8 hours of online sales training and the 5 bonuses that go along with it. Take advantage of that. Do it tonight. To enroll, just go to redcapsalescoaching.com, click on the Elite Sales Academy tab, and go ahead and get yourself enrolled. And you'll start getting material right away, just within a few short weeks. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that you've found value in the things that we talked about tonight. I know that I really enjoyed my time with you, and I hope you enjoyed your time as well. So go out there, make it fun, make it profitable. Good selling, and good night. to buy. The